everyone. Boy, we've got a fine how do you do to talk about today. I had actually no thought of doing a live stream this afternoon until earlier today. One of the members on the Gilded group, Blackbird's Brew, posted a link that she found on the site NextDoor, and it had to do with some shenanigans going on in a Rhode Island school district. Now, a lot of people who view my channel, they are parents. Some of them are grandparents. They have nieces and nephews. They have kids who they are concerned about. And just because what we're talking about today specifically refers to one school district, based on what we've seen going on around the country for the past couple of years, I think it's safe to say that if other school districts haven't already tried this or implemented it, it might be on their docket. So even if you live in an area that has relative sanity, it might be worth a look to kind of check up on them, see what they're up to, and whether or not you need to cause a little fuss. So let's see what this loveliness had to say. And I want to thank everyone in advance for their patience. I'm kind of juggling screens, so please bear with me. And hello to Amanda. Hello and welcome. Okay, now we can look at the post. So this was posted 2 days ago, and it said in all capital letters, "This is being considered by the school committee." And I do have the link in the description box below if you want to check it out for yourself. It is posted on their website for the November 9th, 2022 meetings. So today is the 15th of November, so we're already past this. Then it says JRAAB student surveys. So get ready for this. Hold on to your socks. The Warwick School Committee is committed to protecting the confidentiality of students enrolled in Warwick Public Schools. Isn't that nice? Warwick Public Schools occasionally utilizes surveys to obtain student opinion and information about students. Okay. They're committed to protecting confidentiality, so they want to have surveys to obtain student opinions and information about students. There's so much wrong with this from the word go. The best way to ensure confidentiality is by limiting the number of people who have knowledge of sensitive information, and certainly to limit access. By having these surveys, you have already compromised the security of the student. Furthermore, student opinions. With all love to the kids, they are kids. Maybe their opinions are not as significant as the opinions of the adults in their lives. Maybe their opinions change by the day or the hour, depending on their mood and what's going on, and whether or not something might be fun to take a subversive view on to get a rise out of the adults. So I have an issue with, soliciting their opinions in this kind of context to begin with. And also information. They are minors. They have no agency or authorization to disclose that kind of sensitive information about themselves. If there's something that needs to be kept confidential, the parents have the duty to impress that upon the kids, and they need to make sure that the kids understand that no one has the right to try to, wheedle that information out of them, let alone say, "Hi, hello, I'm a school survey. I'm entitled to know about this." I mean, we're already starting wrong. Let's continue. Such student surveys may be conducted as determined necessary by the school district. Another reminder that they think they are in charge and that you are not. Oh, and I see Amanda's having a comment. We all lied widely on pools back when I was in school. Oh, I mean, absolutely right. I mean, that is exactly what I'm talking about here. I mean, asking kids their opinion, you're not exactly getting a reliable source of information. And, not because they're trying to deceive, but just because they think it would be funny. Oh, but let's go on. So after this, they've reminded the parents that it's what the school thinks is necessary for them to know. Here's their next statement. The purpose of this policy is to establish the parameters of information that may be sought in school surveys. Again, it is the school setting those parameters. They're the ones making the rules and laying down the law, not the parents. And it would appear, at least from this, I mean, we don't know what has transpired before this occurred, but it appears that they don't see the parents as playing a role. There doesn't even seem to be that thought in their head that parents should be the one to decide parameters. But let's go on. In the fall of each school year, Each school will inform the parents, guardians, caregivers of students attending the school in writing of the following: the specific or approximate dates during the school year when there will be the administration of a survey that has been prepared by a third party, including, without limitation, a survey prepared by the United States Department of Education, Rhode Island Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, or a third party vendor which contains a request for disclosure of any of the following items of information. So it sounds like everybody and their uncle who has, you know, some sort of a government title or who thinks that they're entitled to it, they can just toss out this information, and apparently they're expecting answers, and your cooperation is expected. Let's see, Amanda again. We were all heroin riddled sex addicts and gang affiliated on paper. Oh, good grief. Woo! I hope you gave, sorry, I'm typing and talking, all the school admins a heart attack. Serves them right. Whew. So let's see what kind of information that apparently the school district, or the U.S. Department of Education, or the Rhode Island Department of, elementary and secondary education, or a third party vendor who could be anybody. I mean, anybody at all. But let's see what information they want. Let's see. Okay, here's the first one, and boy, is it a doozy. Political affiliations or beliefs of the student or the student's parents, guardians, caregivers. Political affiliations. Number one, the kids are not of voting age, and unless we're talking about some of the seniors in high school. But even in that case, it is categorically none of the school's business, and certainly none of the business of some, nameless third party vendor to have that information. I mean, if someone wants to share their political opinions and beliefs, I mean, that is their prerogative to do so. But I mean, you do not have the right to demand that information, particularly not at school, as particularly not from kids who are not of, if they're not of legal age. They haven't attained their majority. They don't have the right to vote yet. And as far as their parents, guardians, caregivers, what business is that of the schools? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous to ask, and I would like anyone who might be more familiar with the legalities to explain to me how they would expect to get away with this, because, I mean, my goodness, it does seem like this would be, just that alone is a reason to get lawyers involved. Then number two, mental or psychological problems of the student or the student's family. Well, I mean, doesn't that rather depend? I mean, if someone is on medication, if one of the kids is on very serious medication and has very serious diagnosed working through it kind of issues, there could be a reason for the school to know. They might need to take their medication during school hours. And of course, arrangements would have to be made for that. There might need to be a word said in the teacher's ears so that they understand the context of what's going on, particularly if it's affecting the child's behavior. You could just about get a reasonable person to say, okay, there might be a reason for this. But how are we defining mental or psychological problems? Because we are living in a day and age in which disagreeing with someone politically, in some people's opinion, constitutes that you must have a mental disorder. You're psychologically disturbed. You might be an unfit parent. I don't like this. I do not like this fishing around for information. And of course, when you volunteer, yes, we have a problem, then they have it on record, it's on file, and now they know that there are issues within the family, and that could be utilized if the school felt like they wanted to. So here's number three. They want to know sex behavior or attitudes. Now, keep in mind, this survey might also be sent to elementary school students. By definition, they should not be engaging in sexual behavior. And attitudes, I mean, for mercy's sake, I mean, some of these kids are at ages where this isn't even a thought in their heads. And as for the older students, the ones who are in the midst of puberty and whose brains are, just in that place, I get this is not something for the school to know, unless a kid has committed some kind of sexual offense. But if they've committed a sexual offense, wouldn't they be in juvie or in some kind of specialized school that dealt with issues like that? I mean, you would think. I mean, perhaps not. I mean, I swear anything seems to go these days. But the school asking about that and the kids being expected to answer. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, how embarrassing is that for the child? And again, it's another example of someone in the school system wanting to get into the sexuality of a kid. I mean, it just, ugh. Okay, moving on to number 4, illegal, antisocial, self-incriminating, or demeaning behavior. They want you to talk about this on a survey. Number 1, when it comes to illegality, if there's an issue to be dealt with legally, then that is a police matter. And if there's any confessions to be done, it should be to the police, not to the school. Antisocial. What does that mean? Some people have decided that it's antisocial if you vote Republican or if you think that there's only 2 genders. It could be antisocial if you say, I don't really want to have sex with all and sundry. I think I'm more selective. I think I might want to be in a meaningful relationship. That could be considered antisocial. Self-incriminating. Why would you tell on yourself? I mean, that was rule 1 in school. Snitches get stitches, and you definitely don't tell on yourself. If there's a matter that needs to be handled, that is for the family to deal with. And demeaning behavior. I want kids to be respectful. I want them to behave decently. I would like their parents to behave decently. I think that would be an excellent start. But demeaning behavior, again, very vague. What does it mean? I mean, what if someone said, I got my hair cut, what do you think? And then I think, oh, it's, and what if you don't even say it, but your face kind of reacts to where you don't think that it's attractive and they decide they've been demeaned and disrespected and denigrated. It happens. Things this petty happens every single day, and we hear about it every single day. Demeaning behavior, that's not, I mean, we're not talking about the more extreme examples here. It could be interpreted as anything at all, and that's dangerous. Now, number 5, critical appraisals of other individuals with whom respondents have close family relationships. They are encouraging their children to vent their spleen about whatever irritations they have with the rest of their family members. That is all that is. It's like, oh yeah, parents, you think you can decide how things are going to go at home, but we're going to give out this survey to the kids in school, and we're going to find out all about that from their perspective, and we'll just take their word at it that you actually were mean, or that you were bigoted, or that you are voting for the wrong person, and all these things. I mean, this is absolutely teaching children to report on their parents. That is further breaking down the family structure. I mean, this is Iron Curtain 1930s Germany type of bullshit right there in and of itself. All right, and point 6, legally recognized privileged or analogous relationships such as those of lawyers, physicians, or ministers. Why is that any of the school's business? I mean, how is that any of their affair? And then 7, religious practices, affiliations, or beliefs of the student or the student's parents, guardians, caregivers. So they want to know who you pray to. They want to find out if maybe you're one of those bigoted Christians, or, what if you're something else that they don't approve of? I mean, one of the members in the group will frequently remind me that there was a time when if you were known to be a pagan parent and you were raising your children in a pagan way, that it wasn't out of the question that CPS could get involved, because, that was a scary religion. Someone might decide that it's devil worship or some such nonsense. I mean, there is absolutely no benefit to the school asking that question or knowing that question. If it's relevant, I mean, the parents can bring that up. But practices, affiliations, beliefs, they are checking boxes to see if you are operating and if your religion is willing to operate within their worldview. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous, and I don't see how that is possibly legal. How can you justify that? If anyone has some knowledge of this, again, let me know in the chat or in the comments. Come to Blackbird's Brew, tell me about it. Now, here's the other thing that they're going to be asking in the survey. This is point 8. Income other than that required by law to determine eligibility for participation in a program or for receiving financial assistance under such program. I can understand if there are certain programs that are offered to people who, aren't as financially well off, that, the school would want to know that, their financial situation is what they say it is and they aren't being gamed or played. I can understand that. But when we look at the pattern of all of these highly intrusive, improper, and honestly, when it comes to asking about the sexual conduct, I find that to be an outright criminal conduct. Asking about the family's bank balance, no, 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 no. I have already noped so far out of this. I cannot imagine how the parents in this school district must have felt when they saw this. I mean, my gods. So then they go on to say the specific or approximate dates during the school year when there will be any activities involving the collection, disclosure, or use of personal information collected from students for the purposes of marketing or selling or otherwise distributing the information to others. They are data gathering on the kids and treating them like a product, the way all these social media sites have treated us for so long. They're doing that to the kids. And I know this has been discussed about before, but this is actually saying that this is what they are going to do point blank. And that, they just feel entitled to it. I mean, can you imagine someone sending a letter like this out to the parents 15 years ago? Do you think that such a person, even if they did, that they still would have been employed by the next morning? Let's see. And the last thing that's on this post is the specific or approximate dates during the school year when there will be any non emergency, invasive physical examination or screening that is required as a condition of attendance. I bet you anything they will use that to try to sneak in COVID shots. Administered by the school or its agent. School or its agent. Who is the agent? And not necessary to protect the not necessary to protect the immediate health and safety of the student or of other students. Woo! Woo, 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 woo. Oh, yeah. Do you remember, gang, when if parents decided their kid needed a medical procedure, they took them to the doctor's office or an urgent care, something like that, and that the school didn't tell them point blank that we're just going to conduct these things and, to hell what you think. Oh, those were the days. And this was from Warwick Public Schools, Warwick, Rhode Island. It has a notation that says this was page 1 of 2. I looked for page 2. I haven't seen it on this particular site. And wow. Wow. I mean, I would like to know what's on page 2. I would like to know if they're having the grace to give parents the opportunity to opt out if they would wish to. But even so, I mean, look at everything we have to chew on just from the first page that we have. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. I mean, it's insane. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Amanda says that this sounds like cataloging for the cattle cars. I mean, what else are we supposed to think, especially in this day and age? I mean, I think it's been made pretty clear that the institutions have no regard for individuals or their civil rights or anything at all. And look what they're doing to the kids. And anything that they're doing to the kids, who parents ought to be in this mindset: if something happens to my baby, I will fight to the death to protect them. If they're going to do that to your kids, who your most primal loyalties would be towards, what do you think they're going to do to you, or to your mom or dad, or your grandparents if you're still blessed to have them? This is really, really disturbing. Let's see. I'm noticing some conversation in the chat. See, Kelly B, every child in school, in the bathroom, or in the gym locker room is extremely uncomfortable to being there. It's the most awkward moment for every kid in the locker room to have too. I remember it, in high school gym class. I mean, the locker rooms were awkward, and it was just us girls. There was absolutely no question in those days of anyone who had any gender identity issues being allowed in our space. And actually, I'm not even sure that gender identity issues was a subject that even came up in those days. I mean, just No one talked about it. I mean, it was not a thing. It's actually very rare for people to experience genuine gender dysphoria. So it wasn't an issue. But even then, when it was just girls, there was always that worry of because you know what girls are like, who gained weight, who's too skinny, who's a slut, who's the virgin, who has a way prettier bra than me, whose boobs are bigger than mine, and this and that. I mean, all of the hateful stuff. It's awkward and awful. Like, yeah, Amanda, all fights got going in there for sure. I mean, it absolutely is. I mean, why are we making schools more awkward for the children than what they have to be? And why are schools going to the parents and saying, we are entitled to ask the kids anything, do anything, and if you object, we're just going to label you a bad person. We're going to find out about your income, the source of your income. We're going to find out about your politics. And if you don't tell us, well, we're just going to lean on Junior to tell us so we can decide if you're okay, if you're our sort of people, or if you might be a problem. They're going to ask about your religion, and they're going to decide, whether or not your religion is acceptable to their particular standards. I mean, this is beyond insane, and it is absolutely unforgivable. And like I said, this was posted on that NextDoor site on the 9th. It's the 15th. Whatever was going on, it has been decided, or at least it has been discussed. I, I feel so much for the parents out there. I know a lot of people feel incredibly trapped, and for good reason. A lot of kids, they have special education issues, and some people, for whatever reason, because of mom or dad's job, or just the living conditions, maybe where they're at, that's all, the only place they can afford to be. A lot of states have really backwards parental rights denying laws about homeschooling. They want to take that authority away from the parents. They just do not want the parents to be in charge. This is a trademark of every dictatorship that has ever existed. They always go for the kids. They know the adults know better because we've had some life experience. And even if we haven't lived through anything traumatic in our lives, we know that from recent history, from our parents or grandparents, things they went through. We saw how that turned out. We've seen how some of our less than brilliant decisions turned out. And so we gained a little knowledge and a little bit of wisdom. But the kids, I mean, they don't know. They don't know. And if you get them at that rebellious stage, once they're in their teenage years, and they're just deciding that mom and dad and everyone they've ever known is wrong just on basic principle, that's when you can actually indoctrinate them into these really horrific ideas. This is when you can crack open their soul and try to mold it the way that you want. I mean, this is absolutely sick. Let's see, what's Amanda saying? That's the scariest aspect. Religious purity tests are not allowed in tax funded places. They shouldn't be. I mean, if I was a parent in that school district, if I couldn't afford to sue myself, I'd be calling up, the other parents saying, can we come together on this and put an end to it? Because, okay, right now, especially amongst leftist organizations, and let's face it, most of the public school districts lean very far left. If they see that, a lot of the parents happen to be Christian, well, they're not going to like that, because a lot of the Christians just don't agree with their political agenda. Plenty of Christians are perfectly happy to peacefully coexist with people they don't agree with, but that's not enough for the left. They want you to conform. They want you to do that. They're doing that to Christians today. Tomorrow it could be pagans. A day from now it could be Hindus. Whoever they find to be a thorn in their side or getting in the way of them molding the children. I mean, that's who they're going to attack, and they'll do it on any basis. That's really what I'm seeing here, and that's why I really felt the need to bring it to everyone's attention. Please share this, because I do have the link for that particular post in the description box below. Share it on your social media platforms. Share it with other parents, and I think really, parents, let me know what needs to happen for you to get your kid into a schooling situation that you actually feel comfortable with, to where they are being educated, not simply molded into voting for one party or the other. What would that really, what would need to happen in order for that to happen? And also, trade notes about homeschooling or about pod schooling. I've heard about I've heard about that where parents get together, a smaller group of them, they hire a tutor, they take care of a lot of the different kids. I have heard about arrangements of parents in various neighborhoods who essentially did tag team teaching. Said, okay, you can do the math, I'll do the gym, and you'll handle the science, and you'll do the art, and just kind of pooling their resources and their skills and their knowledge base to make sure that their children are properly educated. I mean, parents are making a lot of sacrifices right now, and I respect that. And the ones who feel trapped, I don't want you to feel trapped. I want you to have the resources you need so you can make the decisions that you think are appropriate for your family. And if you don't know where those resources are today, hopefully maybe through this sharing this video or through coming to the group on Gilded, you'll be able to well, just brainstorm some options with people. Hear it from people who are in the trenches. I have several parents on the Gilded group who have all been homeschooling their children. They have a lot of wisdom. They have experience. They know what this is actually like. So let us know. Let us know what we can do to support you, especially if you are a pagan parent. I mean, let's face it, we are facing an uphill battle too, because anything that could be done to tramp down on the Christians' religious rights, we know they can do to us. We're a much smaller group, and we don't have, we don't have the same cultural protections. People don't necessarily view us as normal or mainstream, at least not yet. Hopefully, in future days that will change. But I understand where we are today, and I understand our vulnerability, and I understand how parents would perhaps want their kids to get a different view of history, or to be able to focus a little bit more on exploring, perhaps their ancestral roots, and talking about, what kind of traditions came from here, what kind of food did they eat, what was their architecture like, and how do these things influence us today, what traces of their ideas can we find still existing in modern society. We have a different worldview, and I know a lot of people are very anxious to be able to at least expose their kids to that worldview, whatever decisions they make as when they're adults about what spiritual path they want to follow. But I think that's it from me. If you want to carry on the discussion, please come see me in the Gilded group. If you don't have a link in the description box, just send me a quick email. It's brigantiablackbird@protonmail.com. Just tell me that you want to join the group and why, and I will get you hooked up with a link. Let's see. Oh, I see another thing from Amanda. Homeschooling involves redefining what educated means. It's a big hill for the normies. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think that's why one of the most important things we need to do is resolve that we are not the normies. We are not the mindless sheep. We are not the zombies to be used. So, thank you for joining me, everyone. If you haven't already, please smash that like button. And of course, please try to spread this conversation anywhere that you can, because if it's happening in one school district, I guarantee you something very similar is being attempted elsewhere. So we got to watch each other's backs. So I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye, all.